So I've just finished the book Socrates' Defense by Plato, and it's an eye-opening book. It's an account of Socrates' last dialogue before he's put to death. And the reason he was put to death was because he was basically a smartass. He was going around questioning all of the people of Athens who had specific knowledge or in-depth knowledge in their craft. So he'd be questioning the politicians, he'd be questioning the poets, he'd be questioning the craftsmen, and he'd be putting everyone on the spot, showing them up, showing that they don't actually know as much as they think they do. And obviously, if someone comes up to you and does that to you, it's not going to make you too happy. And the reason he was actually doing that in the first place was because the Oracle of Delphi was saying or said that he was the wisest man of Athens, and he had a problem with that because he didn't deem himself to be quite wise. He was just like, how do I have this wisdom? I'm just an average guy. But I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to look for some people to prove her wrong that are wiser than me. So this is what set him off on his quest to find somebody wiser than him. And this is why he was examining everyone in high status places. So he started with the politicians because they're running the city. They should know how to run it properly, and they should have extensive knowledge, unbelievable wisdom. What he found out was, yes, they did have knowledge, but their knowledge was limited to politics and nothing else. So when he showed them that they didn't actually know as much as they thought they did, that really did piss them off. And they weren't too happy with Socrates. Now you can imagine all of the politicians getting showed up like this. Well, it wasn't really painting a great picture of the politicians running Athens, especially as he had the youth following him around, really enjoying these debates or these examinations of each person that he seemed to be questioning. The youth were there also taking notes and realizing that Socrates had a point. He was showing them that all of these people aren't who they make out to be. So then he moved on to the poets who were writing these amazing plays, amazing skill, but he also found out that they didn't know as much as they thought they did. And he even questioned their intelligence because he thought some of them just had this innate skill. They were born with this skill, because he stated that these poets probably don't even know what they're writing, as the Athenians themselves probably know more about what has been said in these plays than these poets actually themselves know what they wrote. So he was wondering how this was possible. So he found out through questioning and examining them that they didn't know that much. And then finally he moved on to the craftsmen, the people that were building the buildings. And he confirmed, yes, they know more than I do in their specific field. They can build unbelievable things. But on the other hand, they have no knowledge of anything else. So their knowledge is very limited. But here's the main key to all of this. Everyone who has specific knowledge in their field has their vision clouded, let's say. Their thoughts are clouded because they deem that they have extensive knowledge in all fields just because they're proficient in one field. And that's where we all go wrong. Because we have some sort of skill and we feel good about ourselves in one department, doesn't necessarily mean we know everything. And this is what he was saying about the politicians, the poets, the craftsmen. Anyone you can think of that has a good skill in one field will probably have his judgment clouded by that specific skill. And we've all been there. I know I've been there. And this is what Socrates was pointing out. So he found out that, yes, the oracle was correct. He hasn't found anyone that was wiser than him. But then he thought this was weird, because how is that so? And realized that we don't examine our lives. We seem to be putting too much emphasis on materialistic things. And this is where the problem was lying, because Socrates said that is not how we live a good life. The way we live a good life is to examine our lives, examine ourselves, and strive for excellence. So there's a little analogy where he compares Athens to a horse, a big magnificent horse, a sleepy horse, and he's a gadfly that's just flying around poking questions at it, which is waking the horse up whilst it's dozing off. So, as a matter of fact, men of Athens, far from defending myself as one might suppose, what I'm doing now is actually defending you, so that you don't make a mistake with the God's gift to you by casting your votes against me. Because if you do put me to death, you won't easily find anyone else quite like me, attached by the God to the city, if it's not too comic an image as if to a horse, a big and noble horse, but one that's rather sleepy because of its size, all the time needing to be woken up by some sort of gadfly. This is the kind of role that God gave me when he attached me to the city. And the result is that there's never a moment when I'm not waking you up and cajoling you and rebunking you, each one of you, the whole day long, settling on you wherever you may be. Another one like me, Athenians, as I say, it won't be easy for you to find, and if you take my advice, you'll spare me, but probably you'll be irritated at me, and like people who are woken up as they're nodding off, you'll hit out at me, taking Anytus's advice instead of mine, and taking the easy course of putting me to death, after which you'll spend the rest of your lives asleep, unless in his care for you the god should send someone else to stop you. That I really am the sort of person to have been given by the god to the city you might infer for something about me that doesn't look quite human, that I've totally neglected my own affairs and put up with the neglect of what belongs to me for so many years now, while always acting in your interest, approaching each of you privately as if I were a father or elder brother and trying to persuade you to care for excellence. Now that was Socrates. He cared for the people by trying to show them that we should strive for excellence and not materialistic things. And after reading this book, it opened up my eyes. I was just like, okay, this was being said thousands of years ago, and today we're kind of in a similar situation where we're taking the words of people that we're not even entirely sure they have in-depth knowledge. Just look at Trump at the moment. This guy is a master marketer, but is he a master politician? He's got a good political team behind him that's helping him, run things, I guess. But the way he got to his position of power was by being a master marketer. And people hate the guy, but that hate he's using to promote himself, which is doing quite well. Now, on the other note, we seem to have all of this information going around, so we think we know it all. But how much do we really know? How much of our knowledge is superficial? I know that a lot of my knowledge seems to be superficial. After reading this book, I was like, look, if this guy, Socrates, knows so much, but realizes that he knows so little, and then he exposes the people that seem to be the professionals and exposes them for knowing so little, then who am I to think that I know a lot? So I should always be striving towards excellence, like he says. We should always be striving towards excellence. And that's the point of the book. It doesn't matter if he dies. He's willing to take one on the chin, take one for the team, just so that he can wake everybody up and say, hey, guys, we don't really know as much as we think we do. Don't let that cloud your judgment, or don't let your arrogance cloud your judgment. Strive for excellence, strive for more knowledge. Learn, do as much as possible, and don't focus on the materialistic things in life, because that's what clouds our judgment. We don't think straight. If we're constantly consuming, how are we actually focusing on ourselves and thinking straight? We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people through materialistic things. How are we going to be comparing ourselves through the intellect? And this is where it's at. This is what we should be doing. It's the intellect that counts. It's not the material things that count. And he even goes on to state this in the very last page, I think, of the book, where he talks about his sons and what the Athenians should do if they turn towards materialistic things instead of striving towards excellence. So let me see if I can find it. I haven't highlighted anything in this book yet. Here we go. This much I ask of them. If my sons seem to you, when they reach puberty, to be caring about money or anything else before excellence, punish them. Athenians, by making them suffer in the very same way I used to make you suffer. And if they think there's something when they're not, reproach them as I have reproached you for not caring about the things they should and thinking there's something when they're not worth anything. If you do that, then I shall have had my just deserts from you, both for myself and for my sons. So, just think of that. He's like, look, if my kids are acting out of turn and they're trying to think they're bigger than they actually are, and if they start getting consumed by materialistic things, snap them out of it and remind them that they're nothing. We should all be striving for excellence. So this is the point of the book, and I found it fascinating. Also, he puts forward a few arguments and he breaks down the reasons why he shouldn't be killed by going through various forms of questioning, and then he basically shows the guy up again in front of the whole court. And it's quite amusing. It's quite good. It's a great read. It's an easy read. And it's a good reminder that we should all be striving towards excellence. We should all be striving towards being better people. And materialistic things aren't what matter in life. What matters in life is really building good relationships with the people around us, our loved ones, learning as much as possible about ourselves and about our environment, and what's the cause of the problems in the world so that we can fix ourselves and then fix the environment. Because if we don't, then we don't know where we're going to be in the next 10 years, next 20 years. We might not even have a planet anymore. And so Socrates, way back when, was ahead of the game, and we're just trying to catch up now. Because if you compare the two, the time of Athens when Socrates was roaming the streets thousands of years ago to today, not much has changed. We still love materialistic things. The politicians are still lying to us and don't really know as much as they think they do. And we don't really know as much as we think we do. So that's the point. Strive towards excellence, and let's try and make a difference. So if this video was helpful, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.